Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at another rank 1 in the world team here, this time around from Running Cat, which is going to be an interesting team here. We're going to have a team with the Mantine in the lead, running Ice Beam as well as Aerial Ace, giving it great coverage in the current meta. We're going to have the Stay Swap of the Diggersby with the Fast Move of Quick Attack and as well as the Fire Punch. And we're going to have in the back the Swampert. They were running the normal Swampert as far as I know. I would recommend you the normal Swampert, but if you saw my videos earlier as well, I don't have a good normal Swampert build yet. I don't even have one that I can build, so for me, I'm still running my Shadow variant here. It's also fine, but normal Swampert would allow you to survive some certain moves, which would be very cool. For example, matchups like against Alolan Sensor, you would be easily able to survive a move, which would be really helpful for you. So would recommend you to run the normal variant, not the Shadow variant, if you have the normal variant build, but for me, I don't, so I'm running my Shadow. Otherwise, this team is very cool because it's kind of more like a team that I would also run myself. For example, like in general, how this team kind of functions. But there are still a few Pokemon that can be a little bit tricky, which you're also most likely going to see in today's video. But this team worked out super well for me as well. Can highly recommend it to you. Had a great positive run as well. Kind of climbing up my elo a little bit as well again. So definitely something I can recommend you. And also, this team is amazing against Clodsire. As you're going to see already in the first battle here, the entire team destroys Clodsire, which is just amazing. So there's nothing that the opponent can really do here at this point of time. I'm just actually going to be nice and show them my final Pokemon, which is going to be my Diggersby, and they decide to forfeit. Moving on, let's take a look at the next opponent. We're going to have a little bit of an awkward matchup here against the Deoxys defense variant. I decided to farm up a little bit of energy and then swap out on a potential Thunderbolt into our Diggersby, which works out amazingly for us, so we basically completely avoided their energy. And this also allows us to go for another charge move here to do some damage against them. The, what's called the opponent's Deoxys defense can be a little bit tricky. But luckily, we're still going to be able to go for a charge move against their incoming Alolan Sandslash, allowing us to get a shield advantage as well as we would be able to reach another one if we wanted to. But I decided to let this move go through, go into my Swampert, and I should be able to reach another charge move fairly soon. So we should be in a very decent spot here. I have to still use a shield, of course, but I can go for the Hydro Cannon, and the Deoxys still can be a little bit of a tricky one, because Deoxys still has some energy stored. It might be a little bit tricky to deal with it, but we're going to see now their final Pokemon being the Lickitung, having a very bulky team here. We're going to still be able to do a ton of damage with our Swampert, doing quite half of the opponent's health, which is kind of nice. I'm going to decide to let this move go through because I know I still survive, and I'm going to go for another charge move here, which is going to do enough damage to put them into a wing attack down range, which is amazing as the opponent swaps into their Deoxys here. I decided to go for a shield. It's going to be the Thunderbolt, and I'm going to go for the Aerial Ace first. But if they're going to shield this move up, I decide to go for the Ice Beam, which I think does a little bit more damage here. So let's see if this is going to do enough to knock them out. It barely does not do enough, and they can still go for a Thunderbolt here and knock me out. Nope, and it's just the Psycho Boost, so we can still easily win this game here as the opponent's Lickitung has nowhere to go. They can go for a Body Slam, but this is not going to do enough damage here, as our Mantine here, Shiny Mantine as well, having enough bulk to just survive it and knock them out here with an Aerial Ace, going to move on into the next game. We're going to encounter an Alolan Sandslash in the lead. This is going to be a little bit awkward, but if you saw my video from yesterday, you most likely saw also that I had a team that kind of counters exactly those leads. Like, there are a lot of Alolan Sandslash leads right now, mainly why I was running the team that I ran yesterday. If you haven't seen the video, going to be in the end card as well. I built an anti-meta team for the current meta, which worked out super well for me as well. But yeah, you're going to be able to still go for Scorching Sands here, which is not really ideal. I tried to maybe bait a potential shield with a potential Hyper Beam there, but the opponent decides to just let those moves go through. And yep, we're going to get kind of hard-rolled here. But it's good for us to get the Pelipper low, because Pelipper is of course a very good answer against our Swampert, and I can just let this Hurricane go through as well if I want to. And we will see that I'm going to do exactly that. So I can go for my Aerial Ace. This is going to definitely knock them out, and I can swap back into my Swampert immediately. As the Sandslash is coming back in, I can use a shield against the opponent, as I kind of want to keep my Swampert healthy. They're going to go for one Ice Punch, and they can go for another Ice Punch as well. But I can now overfarm by quite a bit. I should still be able to survive another charge move, but the opponent swaps out into a Gligar, allowing me to go for another charge move here as well. The Hydro Cannon is going to get not the knockout, sadly, but I can go for another charge move afterwards. It's going to be a very close one as the opponent decides to let this move go through. They still have a shield left. I still going to be going for another Hydro Cannon here. They're still forced to throw a charge move very soon, but now it's kind of going down for like the Mantine, depending if the Mantine can still win this game for us. Ice Punch going to knock me out. I still should be able to survive a charge move here. I still should be able to also get to an aerial ace. I just barely miss out and we can move on to the next one. Cresselia in the lead. Cresselia is an awkward one. You kinda want to keep your Mantine alive though, because Mantine is your best answer for a potential Medicham. Here, kinda unlikely that they're going to have the Medicham if they already have the Cresselia, of course. But let's see what they're going to run. I could imagine that Future Sight going to be a little bit more common for recent metas, because Future Sight going to be able to hit in general a little bit harder, but also the Clodsire. But here we're gonna see the Moonblast coming in, and we're also gonna see the Greninja coming in. And this is going to be a little bit of an awkward one for us, because they're kinda getting walled the entire way through. I don't even go for my Scorching Sands there, because I don't really get there. So maybe should have went for the Fire Punch instead, but here we're gonna be able to still at least hit the aerial aces against the opponent's Greninja. But we are not in a great spot here at all. They're still forced to go for 2 charge moves against me. I think like a Night Slash should not knock me out at this range. So yep, they're gonna have to still go for another one, which they do here. Smart play by them. But I'm going to keep my shields and hope that my Shadow Swampert can just win this game for me. It's going to be a tough one, because they can still go for a charge move with their Greninja here. It's going to be a Hydro Cannon, and we will see the Drapion coming in. And I just not gonna like stroll around here. I'm just gonna go straight for the Earthquake and gonna get the knockout immediately. Goodbye Drapion, and now it depends if it can still win against a Cresselia, which has some energy here and goes for a Grass Knot, as well as the other opponent's Pokemon there, with just 1 HP in the back. We're going to be able to reach another charge move here. Hydro Cannon is actually not gonna get shielded, but we can farm them down and win this game. Moving on, let's take a look what the next opponent is going to run here. We're going to encounter a Mantine against a Swampert. This is going to be an amazing lead for me, as the opponent decides to swap out into the Pelipper. I'm forced to stay in here. But also, I didn't really play every game correctly here. I don't know if this was one of those which I kind of misplay a little bit. But we would be able to survive at a Hurricane here as well, but I still decided to use a shield just in case they're gonna go for the Hurricane, which is good. Just in case, so I can still keep my Mantine alive, because Mantine is by far the best answer for the Swampert as well. So we're going to be able to knock out the Pelipper here, and now we're gonna swap out into most likely something like the Diggersby. I gotta go for the, Ice Beam here, just to try to get the shield from the opponent and try to catch now a move onto my Diggersby. Does not work out, and I am still going to be able to still go for the Scorching Sands, I think. So I might have still a point here and might still be able to win this game. It's going to be a close one though. As we will see here, Scorching Sands going to do some decent damage, as you see also an attack drop coming in, which is kind of nice for me. I don't survive this Hydro Cannon even with the attack drop, but as you can see, we can swap into our Mantine and they can still go for a charge move, but I can let this move go through. They are debuffed. I easily going to be able to survive this one, and I can even go up to 2 aerial aces or even go for the full farm down, allowing me to go for 1 bait first and then for the Ice Beam directly afterwards. We're just gonna get the knockout against the opponent's Gligar, and this is going to be it for this game. Let's move on to the next one. Encountering one of the worst possible Pokemon here. Ferrothorn is basically the worst possible Pokemon for this team in general, as my entire team is weak against it. And especially here, it's a grass type where Wing Attack is just doing neutral damage. But I was able to catch a move here, and it's going to be the Thunder. I was predicting that they run Thunder there. That was kind of risky for me, but still it worked out kind of well. As well as we're going to get out the opponent's Talonflame here, allowing me to go for a charge move, which is kind of nice. Should have not went for the Scorching Sands immediately, most likely, because if they go for a Brave Bird, for example, here I would have just done more damage now. And also, most likely should have went for the Fire Punch instead of the Scorching Sands, but at least I'm going to get the shield from the opponent now. I don't get to the Fire Punch in time, but I can still go on and go into my Mantine, where I'm going to let this move go through, because I feel like my Swampert is my best play right now. But I still have to get some damage onto the opponent's Ferrothorn, as well as get them just low in general, plus get maybe the final shield from them. And you see here, I overfarmed by a little bit too much. I don't think I would have won CMP, so I think it's fine. I can overfarm by a little bit more even. And they're going to be very spicy here, running a Shadow Ho-Oh in the bag. I still should be able to go for an Ice Beam here, which might get the knockout against the opponent. But I actually don't want to get the knockout. And it does work out really well for me, because now I can count the moves from the opponent. I still should be able to go for 2 more fast moves after this one. So then I only need 1 more fast move to go for the Hydro Cannon. If the opponent is not at another Power Whip already, we should still be able to win this game. And we will be able to do this. So this is going to be a good game, and we can move on into the next one. Next one against Papados. It's actually a player that's very well known for like anybody who is watching Twitch or whatever. Very OG player, so cool to battle them actually. So here we're going to encounter the Sableye in the lead, which is a little bit awkward for us, but they're going to stay in here and just go for a charge move, which is fine. I can still go for my own charge move with a Scorching Sands, and now they decide to swap out into their Venusaur, allowing me to go for my Fire Punch. And this is a cool thing about Diggersby plus Swampert backline. You just basically get always the Pokemon out of the way that Swampert is weak against, and here we're actually going to be able to get a shield advantage as well with that, which is amazing. We're going to lose the shield advantage basically immediately again, but at least we're going to have somewhat of an advantage here. And also, the opponent should be in range where I can just farm it down with just using one shield, which is definitely very nice for me, and even against something like the Sableye would be fine, but they're going to actually run the Sandslash in the back. And honestly, this was most likely my favorite game of them all, because we're going to see here a very close one. They're going to go for the Drill Run, which is something that I didn't expect. I expected the Ice Punch, so that's a great play by them. With the Ice Punch, I still would have been able to reach another Hydro Cannon. With the Drill Run, I'm not able to, so this looks basically like the game is lost at this point, because they still have two Pokemon. They have basically the same health that I have. I have a shield though, which is kind of nice, but I don't do any like neutral damage here at all. I only do the resisted damage. And so you're going to see me here over farm by a little bit, because I know that I'm going to not knock them out with one aerial ace at that point. And they decide to swap out into their Sableye, allowing me to go for the Ice Beam, just barely get the knockout, go for the aerial ace. Does this knock them out? It's going to be so close, and Mantine is coming in clutch winning me this game here. Honestly, that was like so clutch for Mantine. Really cool one there, as you're going to now be able to see the opponent running Deoxys defense there again. I should have stayed in. Honestly, I just didn't really pay too much attention. I should have stayed in, went up to basically for them to get to the Thunderbolt and then swapped out. Would have been the better play for sure. But I didn't do this, my own mistake. I can still go for a Fire Punch here, which is still kind of awkward for me, but as you're going to see here, they're still going to be able to survive that fairly easily. And I am not really in a great spot here at this point, as I can still go for a charge move. Of course, I cannot use a shield, because the Thunderbolt is going to one-shot me, and I don't really want this to happen. And here we're going to see the one Pokemon that this team just literally nearly cannot beat, to be fair, like maybe with like energy advantage, but in just neutral matchups. Dugong is just sadly destroying this lineup. There's no lot that I can really say about it. Like, Dugong is just a little bit too strong for this matchup here, or like for this team. So while I'm still going to try my best, it's going to be a tough one to still come back from this, especially as the opponent makes a great play here by swapping into the Deoxys after debuffing my attack. So basically my energy, as you can see here, goes to waste. I thought of going for the Earthquake here, and I kinda should have. As we can see, I would have been able to knock them out here without having to use a shield. But honestly, I do not think it would have mattered anyway. Like, this game at this point of time is over already. The Dugong is just a little bit too strong. I'm still trying to do my best here, but again, like, my only play here is to try to swap out, get a CMP tie with aerial ace or something, get the shield, but it's just not happening. So a good game to the opponent. Dugong is definitely a very difficult Pokemon to deal with, and we can move on to the final game. Final game of today's video. It kind of felt very fast, but we're going to encounter a great lead for our team here with Azumarill. Azumarill for the backline can be a little bit tricky, but actually both Diggersby as well as Swampert are kind of okay for it. We can still go for an aerial ace here, which is going to get a ton of damage. I want to say a little bit of damage there. But as you're going to see, they're going to go for a play rough, actually going to do half of our health, which is not really ideal. But I can go for a charge move here, aerial ace coming through. Should be able to still go for another aerial ace here, which is going to do some decent damage as well. But I kind of want to catch a move here. I don't know if I can do it. No, I cannot do it because the opponent goes straight for that charge move. So I'm going to be very low with my Mantine, and they decide to swap out into their Sableye, allowing me to swap into my own Diggersby here. Going to be a very neutral matchup. Like, if you have Machop, it's a very favorable matchup for you, but sadly my fast move is also double resisted. Their fast move is double resisted, my fast move is double resisted. And we just basically just hit us with like neutral charge moves here. But still, I have more bulk than the opponent, so I should be in a decent spot here, as I should still be able to survive another foul play afterwards. Especially if I get the debuff here, which I do, which is amazing for me. So I can just go for the Fire Punch at this point. They can use a shield if they want to, but I'm in a very decent spot here, as I am now 2 shields up. The opponent swaps into a Gligar, I can swap into my Swampert, and they should be in a range for just one Hydro Cannon. That's all it takes to knock them out. So we are going to be in a very good spot here. This Hydro Cannon is going to get the knockout against the Gligar on a CMP tie. And we can now see that the opponent swaps into, let's see, it's going to be the Sableye again. I wanted to shield this move up. I did shield this move up as well. But now I kind of misplayed because I went for one extra fast move. I thought that I would still be able to do this, but now it's going to be a CMP tie. I can still get the knockout, but still not over yet. Let's see what we can still do here. It's going to be the Azumarill and one Fire Punch. That's all it takes to knock them out. So this is going to be it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.